Yeah, hey everybody, this is Ian, and in this quick video, I want to suggest or recommend a really simple way of organizing your digital media brand launch in 2019 using a very simple exercise, right? And I really want you to do this rather than just kind of watch this or think about this or watch the video and then scroll away to something else. It's only really going to be valuable to you if you actually try and apply this in your own brand and business. So there are 4 simple steps, and I just want you to follow along. I'm going to make this under 5 minutes and apply this to your unique brand and business, your web community, your listings site, your directory community, a marketplace if you're building one. It matters not. This is, again, agnostic to whatever underlying tools and tech you are using to launch an authority site, either in 2019, in 2026, in 2012. It matters not. This will work for you. So the 4 components are strategy, structure, sequence, and story. So strategy is, what is the big idea? What is your core objective? What is the animating insight or idea that underpins everything that you're endeavoring to build? Structure, what goes where and why, right? So this is where you start to really kind of get a grid or a meta kind of analysis of what you're building, right? So you can write this out, you can record an audio, you can do a video for yourself or your team, whatever it is. Have a meta structure so that you know all the various pieces and parts of your platform and where they go in sort of this bird's eye view perspective. Sequence. This is where you take the structure and you build on it. What goes when and why, right? So if some of this can be very obvious and some of this can be quite opaque. So, sequence, if you're building, let's say, like I'm doing a Facebook, ad campaign. Well, and that Facebook ad campaign is designed to generate leads. And those leads are then designed to be part of a relationship or rapport building email marketing campaign that sells them on a service, right? So the sequence of that is pretty clear cut. You can't start this until you run the Facebook ad, right? So the sequence, what goes when and why, the Facebook ad or the ad copy has to go first, right? The landing page would go second. The person subscribes and gets an email sequence triggered. That goes third. And then, when I implement or ask for a sale, when you actually try to change or convert that subscriber into a sale, that comes at some indeterminate period within that email sequence. So all of this in that sort of example is obvious. However, or it has some degree of obviousness. You may find yourself experimenting, as you will, or as I'm certainly doing, as to what levers to pull and when. But in your business, I want you to really conceptualize, if you're building a directory specifically, when do you when do you have a site that's viable and valuable enough to go out into the public or locate your professional peers and say, pay for this, right? Pay for a listing. Or, when do you have enough listings? When do you have enough content? All of that stuff really, really is a legitimate challenge or obstacle that 90% of my clients or my readers are finding themselves facing at one point or another. So sequence becomes a really important piece of your launch process. And I'll tell you how. So what I do, and if you've worked with me or read any of my stuff in the last couple months, as I'm, kind of working with many people in a public way, the thing that I recommend everyone who's working on a directory, let's say, starts with sequence is adding content to the blog or to the articles or resources component of your community first, right? So using curated content, CURATED, rather than listing content or long form blog articles. That can be a curated content as a sequence piece can really rapidly expedite the process by which you have 50, 75, or 100 posts, a resource rich community that other folks can look at and say, hey, this is obviously a real authority site, right? This is a real jumping off point for professionals in ABC niche or in a specific geographical area or so on, right? So sequence what goes when and why. What I try to recommend folks who are building directories do is start for 30 or 60 or 90 days just adding blog content using curated content, clipped, snipped, content from other sources. And I have other videos that walk you through this that you can watch using things like Google Alerts and Pinterest, and using Google search queries, using tools like Answer the Public, et cetera, that will really allow you to get hyper clear on a time frame and an outcome that is not vulnerable to needing a certain amount of, in quotes, listings to launch your community. And because I went a little longer on that one, I'll go shorter on this, which is story, why it matters to you and why it ought to matter to everyone else, right? Or why it ought to matter to me at a minimum. So if you're building a directory or a Yelp for this niche or an Airbnb for that industry, have a story that articulates why it matters to you. A manifesto is a really great way of communicating that sort of your reason why, let's say, and share why it matters to your audience as well, to a reader like myself, or to an entire movement, why the movement itself is important, why the time is right, why the urgency is here, why the need is now, right? So a really compelling story, as like a founding story, an origin story, or even a manifesto, can be really clarifying and super reifying in terms of getting folks to raise their hands and get behind your movement and your message. I would also invite you to look on our Facebook page, which is the Mindful Market on Facebook. You'll see an example of our manifesto, which I posted, a couple of different times, 6 months ago, 9 months ago, when we first launched the Facebook page, and it has gotten a ton of response, a lot of emails. A lot of people have asked for help writing one themselves. A lot of people have let me know personally that manifesto, that story, has been an important inspirational lever in terms of them wanting to either join in or do something similar for themselves. All right. So the exercise is strategy, structure, sequence, and story. Try to locate what you're building this year, starting right now. It's January 3rd. There's no better time to do this than right now. Strategy, structure, sequence, and story. Get write it out, draw it out, record it in whatever medium is most comfortable for you. Just have that meta piece in place, that high 30,000 foot perspective, bird's eye view, positional perspective in play right now as you get ready to build something big and audacious and exciting in 2019. If you have not yet signed up for our 90-day workshop, which is coming up, I think, on the 10th of January, I'm going to leave a link to that below. There are only going to be a few hundred spaces, and I have far more people than that in my orbit. So if you're interested in that, click on the link below, and you can see a beta sign-up form where I'll forward you all the details about what it is that we're doing. All right. Hope that makes some sense. You can download this PDF as well in your course community. And I'll also have a separate link for those who aren't subscribed to the course community if they want to have a copy of this locally on their machine. Okay, thanks so much and have a wonderful day.